In today's video, we're going to take a look at the Peace Offering Commander deck featuring Miss Bumbleflower and some other fun cards. It seems to be themed mostly around rabbits, but with a good bit of variety in terms of the animals included. So let's hop into the video. Alright everybody, thank you so much for being here. Be sure to like the video if you do enjoy it and click that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Like 96% of people who watch my videos aren't subscribed, and if even like 5% of you subscribed, it would make a massive difference. So thank you so much if you do take that under consideration. But today we're going to take a look at the Peace Offering Commander deck. I am going to be doing videos for all four. I'm trying to get them done quickly, but I had to wait for some better quality scans to come up of things, and that, you know, as you can imagine, is a bit of a challenge at times. So this Commander deck is one of the four new ones for Bloomburrow, and it is going to be green, white, blue. Seems very fun. It seems themed around +1/+1 counters and sort of attacking together or benefiting based on, you know, more creatures that you have, while also having some cards to kind of allow you and the opponents to also do things together. So kind of an interesting little build style there, and as with most Commander decks, I'm sure there will be, you know, edits that you can make that will improve the deck. We'll have to see how it does. So let's actually break down the new cards in this deck. Starting off with one that I need to get out of the way because there was, for whatever reason, absolutely no scan of this card anywhere. I don't know why. I cannot find it. If there is one, I was not able to locate it. So this is called Purge Protection, and this looks like the picture that I have is very bad quality. It was opened on a Whatnot stream yesterday, but Wizards has it on their official deck list, so I'm guessing it's supposed to be here. This is 4 white instant with Gift an Extra Turn. Create 4 2/2 bluebird creature tokens with flying. If the gift was promised, all permanents you control phase out, and until your next turn, your life total can't change, and you gain protection from everything. Exile Purge Protection. So essentially, you give, you know, an opponent an extra turn, and then you get a bunch of tokens, and then everything phases out. So it's like Teferi's Protection, but not quite as good, I guess, but also has some interesting mechanics going to it where you can maybe work with other people in the party, in the pod rather, to say, hey, you take an extra turn and then you're safe and they can do whatever they need to do. Just wanted to get this one out of the way because the only one I don't have a graphic for. Not a bad card. I don't think it's anything crazy. It's a little costly though, mana-wise, in my opinion, for it to be worth serious consideration. On to the commanders. So, Miss Bumbleflower is 1 green, white, blue legendary creature rabbit citizen with vigilance. Whenever you cast a spell, target opponent draws a card. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It gains flying until end of turn. If it is the second time this ability is resolved this turn, you draw 2 cards. So, I'm a little bit on the fence about this card. It's kind of cool, but it's definitely landing into that group hug ability. You cast spell, opponent draws a card. So, the only way this is really going to work in your favor is if you have cards that trigger when your opponent draws. There are obviously things like Orcish Bowmasters that come to mind that don't work within this color combination, but act as an example of a card that does trigger when something like that would come up. It's definitely kind of, it's cute, like being able to do it twice and then you draw some cards is good. Counters, flying. It's a little underwhelming to me though, to be honest. I don't love it, but I suppose if you can make, if your opponents are tapped out and you can put pressure on stuff, it might have some flexibility. It's not bad. It is true to the theme of the group hug approach that they're looking to take, but I have to be honest, while it's aesthetically really cool, I personally don't find the card to be all that good. So let me know what you guys think of Miss Bumbleflower in the comments section, because I'm interested to see what people think. Next up, we've got Mr. Foxglove. It is 2 green, white, blue, legendary creature, Fox, Rogue, lifelink. Whenever he attacks, draw cards equal to the number of cards in Defender's playing hand, minus the number of cards in your hand. If you didn't draw cards this way, you may put a creature from your hand onto the battlefield. And this one feels a lot stronger to me in terms of the 2 options here. So when it attacks, if your opponent has 7 cards in hand and you have, say, 3, then you draw 4 cards. Like, it squares your hand up to the level of your opponents, but you can also choose not to draw. Well, not choose not to draw, but you can attack an opponent who doesn't have more cards, and then if you do that, you can put a creature from hand onto the battlefield. So it's not terrible if you have more cards in hand than the opponent and just want to cheese some things out. Plus, it's got lifelink. It doesn't have any kind of built-in protection, but you can obviously find ways to make that work in your favor still, by, you know, having some flexibility with the effect. Because if you're playing from behind and you want to go ahead and get better cards, then great, but if you're not, then you still have that option. So this is better in my opinion between the 2, but I'm sure some people will have differing opinions on that. I definitely like the flavor and theme of Miss Bumbleflower more, but this is a pretty good card in its own right. Temped with Bunnies is 2 and a white, and I saw this card yesterday. I just laughed so much. It's just a silly card concept, but it draw a card and create a 1/1 white rabbit creature token. Then each opponent may do the same. For each opponent who does, you draw a card and create a 1/1 white rabbit creature token. So it's very much like Tempt with Discovery, obviously by design, but it's funny and kind of can do a good bit for you, especially if you're playing like a rabbit token spam. It's not like, you know, your opponent's getting anything super crazy, but I don't think they're going to want to give you all those card draws and all those creatures unless they have a way to maximize it. But it's Tempt with Bunnies. It's a cute card. Like, I feel like this is one you got to play just for theme in the deck, because it definitely it has a good bit going for it there. Steelbird Champion is 2 and a white creature mouse soldier with offspring, 1 white with vigilance. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Nothing really to say here. It's pretty solid across the board. It works really well with a lot of the new mice cards that we've seen. It's low to the ground in terms of its cost and can power itself up pretty quick. Just overall a solidly designed card with some cool artwork. Not really sure what else to add. Jolly Gerbils. This one's confusing to me because it was revealed in the commander deck. It's listed in the commander deck, but it has the Bloomburrow set code, so it's possible that the reporting was just mixed. I don't know. Whatever. We didn't cover the card on the channel regardless, so it's 1 and a white. Hamster Citizen. Whenever you give a gift, draw a card. I like it a lot. I think it makes some of the gifting cards much better because it kind of balances out the downsides of giving that stuff to your opponent. Whether it's only in the deck or it's in the set and the deck doesn't really matter to me. It's a cool card. It's definitely going to be in the deck, so just, you know, a card to keep in mind. It's a pretty solid uncommon, though, that works really well with the mechanics that we have going on here. 20-toed Toad is 3 and a blue creature frog wizard. Your maximum hand size is 20. Whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, put a +1/+1 counter on this card and draw a card. Whenever it attacks, you win the game if there are 20 or more counters on it, or if you have 20 or more cards in hand. So an alt win condition is very funny and very interesting. Being able to, obviously there are cards that can get your hand size to, you know, be much bigger without as much mana investment, but you can stack this up with counters. You can maybe draw a bunch of cards, and honestly, all it has to do is attack to win the game. You don't have to do anything like damage or anything, so it's kind of cool. Overall, I like it a lot. It's the artwork is really cool here as well. Just a solid card across the board. Bloodroot Apothecary is 2 and a green creature squirrel druid with toxic 2. When it enters, you and target opponent each create a treasure token. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-creature token, that player gains 2 poison counters. This card is absolutely nuts. First of all, the toxic 2 is, you know, a little icing on the cake is nice. You give your opponent a treasure, but immediately, if the opponent sacrifices anything, they're getting poison counters. And in a format like Commander, or even in this, what this standard's likely going to be, when you see treasures, food, all kinds of different tokens circulating, every time they sack one, they're getting poison counters. It's going to be a massively annoying card to deal with if you're relying on any of those kind of tokens. Obviously, non-creature tokens, so you know, it does have that sort of, I guess, downside, if you will. But this puts so much pressure on the opponents, and it just is a really, really solid card overall. Squirrel decks are going to love it, obviously, but it's going to be a problem for some decks to deal with if they're heavy on tokens in general. Communal Brewing is 2 and a green enchantment. When it enters, any number of target opponents may draw a card. Put an ingredient counter on it, then put an ingredient counter on it for each card drawn this way. When you cast a creature spell, it enters with X additional +1/+1 counters equal to the number of ingredient counters on it. So again, that group hug strategy, say all 3 opponents decide to draw, it's going to get 4 counters. Whenever you cast a creature spell, it gets +4/+4 counters on it when it comes out. Pretty cool. Thematically, I like it. I don't think it's all that great, but you could technically proliferate the counters on it, and then maybe you could get more benefit from it. It's all right. This group hug strategy I don't think is really for me, but it might make for some fun commander games, so there is that to keep in mind. Fisher's Talent is 2 green blue. It is Saga, a class here, and it says at the beginning of your it's not a Saga, I'm sorry, it's a class enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal it if it's a land. Create a 1/1 blue fish creature token if you reveal the card this way, then draw a card. Not bad. I mean, you get a token every turn if you reveal a land, but you get to draw an extra card each turn regardless, so that's pretty good. If you would create a fish token, create a 3/3 blue shark creature token instead. So basically, as this levels up, if you start revealing lands, you're getting a 3/3 shark. And then if you get it to level 3, if you create a shark, you're going to 8/8 blue octopus instead. Now it's like every turn you start revealing a land, you create an 8/8 octopus. That's going to be a lot to deal with and put a lot of power on the board. I like this card a lot, actually. It seems really efficient, if you will. Octomancer is 3 green, blue, creature, frog, druid, gift, and octopus. You may promise an opponent a gift if you cast the spell. If you do, they create an 8/8 blue octopus creature token. At the beginning of each end step, create a token that's a copy of target creature that entered the battlefield this turn. So I like this to an extent. I do like that it's each end step, so you will get stuff off your opponents. Obviously, you're giving them an octopus, but this can make a copy of itself there. And technically speaking, I don't see any wording that suggests... Oh, no, target creature token. So, yeah, it can't copy itself. But it's still solid in terms of if you're playing against any type of token spam strategies, you'd be able to make your own tokens there and even kind of duplicate your own with cards like Fisher's Talent that we were just talking about later in games. It's pretty well, it's interesting to say the least. And then our Imagined Critters for this deck is going to be Tameo Field Researcher. This is not a new card, but it is guaranteed to be in the deck. It's a Mythic. It's the Planeswalker Retrain, and it does fit well enough into the deck, so probably, you know, pretty cool for that. I think overall it's a pretty underwhelming lineup of cards for this deck. I don't know if that's going to get me some criticism for saying it or not, but that's how I feel. I don't think all the cards are bad. There's definitely a few that are really strong, but I don't think that these are the strongest like series of cards that we've seen. And you know, aside from a couple, like specifically the Bloodroot Apothecary, I don't know, it left me a little underwhelmed. It's cute and it seems fun, and I think it's probably gonna you know, it's got a couple decent reprints with some good lands, and you know, a few just Colonian Hydras in here, so it's a pretty good card. But overall, it's pretty lackluster. I'm gonna give this one a 7 out of 10. I think 6.5 out of 10 probably sounds better. Actually, it's cute. I'm sure if you upgrade it, you might be able to change the playstyle a little bit, but as it stands, out of the box, I don't think it's going to be anything super crazy. You really have to make some tweaks for it. So let me know what you guys think of this one in the comment section down below. It might be fun, but I don't know how practical it's going to be. So we'll have to see how it does, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.